to her husband, Robert Browning. We get the other half of the other viewpoint, I guess, of the marriage, of the love affair. We see him valuing that marriage and that love as much as she did. I don't know if you can say maybe even more. I mean, he longed for her afterwards. The statement at the end, because they eloped, went to Florence. 15 years later, she died, and he picked up his son, and they went back to England. And then he never remarried. He said, no, I buried my love in Florence. He can't find love elsewhere. Isn't that kind of it's sad, but isn't it kind of a romantic notion? You know, he still held on to her after, after death and so on. That was his wife. That was his love. And he wasn't going to find anything greater, out there. So why look? And so I think that puts a nice little ribbon on the love, okay, that we saw from her background information, but then also from her Sonnet 43, and we see him reciprocating that to her. Okay, so we've established a little bit about him. His piece called My Last Duchess on 981. This is considered a dramatic monologue. Okay, it's one character. Okay, to set up the picture, I don't want to give away too much. There's a picture. Okay, this gentleman is giving a tour to another gentleman around his house, showing him in the artwork, showing him this different statues and things. And he stopped at this picture and he goes, "Oh, yeah, I see you looking here. This is my last Duchess, my last wife." Okay, and he goes on to tell a story about her and about their relationship. As we read it and listen to it, think about, was it a happy relationship? Things end well? Okay, if it's his last one, that means he's not with her anymore. What happened? See if you can answer that in your own mind and so on. Okay? Because the person he's walking around is a suitor for another woman. Somebody came to him, or he's out looking for another wife, or somebody's coming to him to try to have him marry again. And so he's just kind of showing them around. Is there a motivation for him to tell this story about his wife to this individual? Does he have kind of ulterior motives? Okay, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but just kind of keep all of those open in your mind a little bit. So what's the purpose for him doing that? What was their life like together, him and his wife? But ultimately, why do you think he's doing this? Why do you think he's talking to this gentleman about her in this way? Okay?
My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. That's my last Duchess painted on the wall. Looking as if she were alive, I call that piece a wonder now. Frau Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Will't please you sit and look at her? I said Frau Pandolf by design, for never read, strangers like you, that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus, Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into the Duchess' cheek? Perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say, her mantle laps over my lady's wrist too much. Or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked what air she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one, my favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west. The bough of cherries some officious fool broke in the orchard for her. The white mule she rode with round the terrace. All and each would draw from her alike the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Who'd stoop to blame this sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such an one, and say, just this, or that in you disgusts me, here you miss, or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set her wits to yours forsooth, and made excuse, e'en then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. O sir, she smiled no doubt, whene'er I passed her, but who passed without much the same smile? This grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together. There she stands, as if alive. Wilt please you rise? We'll meet the company below then, I repeat. The Count your master's known munificence is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed, though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed, at starting is my object. Nay, we'll go together down, sir. Notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, thought a rarity, which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me.
While we're there at the end, look at those last couple lines. He starts to refer to other artwork. Well, come on, we'll continue the tour. We'll continue walking along here. So he gives you the idea that we just are walking and, oh, yeah, this is my last Duchess. Let me tell you about her. And we're done. And now let's move on. Just like that, like she was nothing. Did they have a wonderful marriage? Not so much. Okay. Now, what happened to the Duchess? We see back on towards the end, it says line 47 or so, there she stands as if alive. So I guess we can assume that she's dead. Okay, I don't think that's too far of a stretch, since he's looking for a new Duchess. Was their marriage happy? Maybe at the beginning. Okay. If you look at the lines around line 10 to 12 or so on, some might question as to, the flush in her cheeks, the little smile, her eyes just looking. You're not the first person to ask about that. And, well, what is she looking at? Well, sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only that called that spot of joy into the Duchess's cheek. So it made her blush a little bit. It wasn't just me, it was other people. And so we start to see some jealousy come out, especially on that last page there. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. People give her things, and she thanks them. She thanked men good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. So I might give her, some jewelry or whatever. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Somebody, commoner, gives her something. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. But it's me. I'm the Duke. I brought you up from wherever, and you are now nobility for the most part. And you treat me the same way as you treat a common person. As if you're ranking my name, my family lineage, family tree that you are now a part of, for a little bit longer, as the same as some commoner giving you some trinket or so on. She smiled. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed by. But who passed without much the same smile? This grew. So this kept going. This kept going. Then in the highlighted text, I gave commands, and then all smiles stopped together. So she stopped smiling for him, as well as the other people. So she did what she was told and stopped smiling, looking, flirting with other people. But she also stopped doing that stuff with him. He probably didn't necessarily appreciate that too much. And there she stands as if she were alive. Interesting. Do you think he has some ulterior motives for telling this story? Because we know that she's dead now. Do we know how she died? No. Can we think that maybe he did something? I think that definitely, as upset as he still is about that picture, I think it could be said that something happened. Or if she died of natural causes, he's not too broken up about it. All right, well, if you want to get up, we can talk about, what's going to happen in the dowry, and we can talk about what's, hey, let's continue our tour so I can show you the rest of the stuff. But also, think about it. The person he's giving the tour to is really a suitor, a representative for another family, for another female. Can you see this as kind of a little words of warning? If I do marry her, what should I expect? You saw what happened with my last Duchess. Can you see how it's kind of a little subtle warning, or could be taken in that way? Not that it is 100% that, but I see it as a little bit of a, yeah, you might want to, tone that down. Because look what happened. I didn't stand for it. She didn't do it anymore, and that's my last Duchess. She's there as if she were alive. Okay, so not like a love poem type thing. But definitely a dramatic monologue, something different and something of interest and note.